All right, we're back here with another animal expert. I call him an expert because he knows way more than I do. We got a camel.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the camel.
Yeah, we're going to be.
You made, sorry, I'm cutting you off. You made the comment. This is the most extraordinary creation.
The best engineered
Best
creature
engineered.
on this planet. Okay. My belief.
All right.
Now,
Prove it.
I'll prove it. Okay, good. Now, all right. We have the Bactrium and we have the dromedary. There are two types of camels. One, the Bactrium, they have two humps. And the other one you'll see later on down in there, the dromedary, which has one hump. All right. They are basically they live in the desert. They can survive in the desert, and that's very important because man needed them for all time to get across the desert up until we had automobiles. For the last 4,000 years since God created the planet, basically we needed camels. Okay. Why are they so important? Every part of their body was made to be able to live in the desert or not to be able to live in the desert. So they have to have an awful lot of fine tuning to make sure that they can exist there. All right. So we're going to start at the bottom. We're going to start at the feet. First, we have the feet here. Now, if you notice, they have two toes. Why would they have two toes? Well, if you're on the sand or you're on rocky areas or something like that, and all of a sudden it's on a crevice or part drops off, one part can stay on, one part drops off, so it gives it support. Also, in that, let me change it again.
And you mentioned toes.
Yes.
This is different than hooves.
Yeah.
So it's split. It's
Toe.
not a split hoof. It's a
Split
toe.
toes.
Okay.
Correct. All right. Now you notice at the bottom of it, see the calluses? Why would they have the calluses on there? Well, the calluses on there is because the heat in the desert. That sand can get up to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, that hot. So they have to have calluses on it. And also, if you notice here, it looks puffy, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rounded, like
Okay.
there's something pushing up against it.
Now that's fat. That's fat that's inside there to make sure that when they hit, it spreads out. Okay, so that's why they can probably run faster than a horse in the desert, because they can spread out and stay on top of the sand.
Surface area.
Surface area.
That's cool.
Now this is the inside picture of that. You see, this is the bone on the inside. They have the fat pocket here, and everything spreads out. And basically, and then it's like, basically, if you're in the snow, what are you going to have in the snow if you want to walk across?
Snowshoes, yeah.
Exactly. So then all of a sudden, he's got snowshoes to walk in the sand. That's what's so amazing about it.
That's awesome.
So
We got a nail.
that's basically the split.
Okay, okay.
And they do have the nails, yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is the dromedary, okay? Why can they survive in the desert, okay? And they can lose 1/3 of their body weight, but we're going to get to that. We're going to go up, we're just starting to move up the line with this. If you notice the legs, look at how long they are, all right?
Long and pretty straight.
Yeah, and why would they be so long? They're long because they want to keep the heat away from the body, all right? And basically the calluses that are right on the fronts of them for them to kneel down. If you notice the way they kneel, then you'll be able to see that there are calluses here. And underneath their stomach here, at the very bottom part of the stomach, there's no hair. And there isn't any hair on there because it's callous more so, because they're laying on this desert. So that's very important for them to do that. They had to carry people across the desert. Now think of that. The desert has nothing there. All right, there's nothing in the desert that they can hardly eat, but they had to bring it, and they could carry up to 200 pounds a day to go across the desert. All right,
That's awesome.
and that is what camels can do. So next page, please.
You mentioned that they can lose 1/3 of their weight. I saw in that last picture
Yes.
that they can weigh up to 1,500 pounds.
Yes.
So you're telling me they went across a long trip across
They
the
could-
desert. They're losing close to 500
They
pounds.
could lose that. Basically, they can lose up to 30% of their water weight.
Okay.
The water
Okay,
weight there
all right.
now. Then all of a sudden, they're called the ships of the desert because they can carry all those pounds. Their body, the skin on it. The skin is amazing because it's thermal. It's a certain type of skin that's basically, where am I at?
Skin thermostatic property.
Right. It's got the thermostatic properties in it. So basically, it's like a thermostat.
Okay.
All right. So it keeps that tries to keep their body at a certain temperature. Now, you got them walking across the desert, all right? And they're walking across the desert, and the heat's coming down, and the heat is coming down all the time. Now, the body of a camel, if you notice it, everything is pretty darn lean, except for the feet and the hump. The hump has all the fat. Okay? Now, go across the desert, and remember, it fluctuates. The temperature in the desert can fluctuate. It can go up to 115 degrees. It can go down to 40, 39, 40 degrees during the night. So it changes quite a bit. How do they keep warm at night? Okay, what happens is this here, the heat comes into this and stays in the hump. And then from the hump at nighttime, when they're sitting, it will release that heat through the rest of their body.
So it's a little bit of a myth that they store water. It's almost as if they can store the heat and climate control themselves until they need that heat, and then they're able to release it through their body.
Yes.
Okay.
But they do store water. We'll get to that too. Okay.
But that's not water.
That's
not fat.
That's fat.
That's not. That's
right.
That's an old cartoon thing.
Yes.
You want next page?
Well, no, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Basically, we want to talk about the long neck.
Yeah.
Why would they have a long neck? Because they're basically so they can reach up high on plants, or they can reach down low. Because Jesus made sure that they had long legs to keep the heat away, so that they can reach down low to eat, or they can reach up high to eat. So Jesus thinks of everything. That's what's so fabulous about it. Now, when basically they want to get into eating, what is out in the desert to eat?
A lot of sand.
And cactus.
Yeah.
So cactus have thorns on them, right?
Yeah, they do.
So he had to be engineered to have exactly the right mouth to be able to eat cactus. So all of a sudden, you notice, his lips are kind of leathery. And up here, these are palates. So basically, if a basically bite from a cactus hits it, it rolls it. So what they're trying to do is, let me see if I got on the next page or not. Yeah, I got on the next page here. You see this here? Right here, little crack here.
It's like a cleft.
Yes, it goes all the way up. So all of a sudden, they take the cactus in their mouth, and then they roll it. And it starts rolling and rolling and rolling, and then they swallow it. They don't chew it up. They can't chew it up. So what goes into the first stomach? Now,
First stomach.
The first stomach.
Okay.
So once it goes into the first stomach, it goes down there, and it regurgitates. And it's got billions of bacteria down there. Basically, they get to eat it up and try to break it down.
Yeah.
And once it breaks down, it goes into the second stomach that's got a filter on it. It gets it in there. And you ever hear of chewing your cud? Okay. So what happens in the second stomach? Then all of a sudden, because of all of a sudden, say they find a cactus and they're walking and they take it and they chew it up, they drop it down. Now, maybe they're not hungry right now, but they don't want to pass up the cactus. So all of a sudden, they don't pass up the cactus. They put it there and they say, I'm going to stick it down that stomach. So at nighttime, then, they can chew their cud, they can bring it back up from their second stomach, and then they start chewing it, and they chew it, break it down more, and break it down more. And all of a sudden, then, they take it and they put it to the third stomach. Now, in their third stomach, then, we've got, I still need...
Yeah, I'm amazed. Who knew camels had more than one stomach? I thought that was only with cows.
Oh, no, it's just, they break down where am I at here? The stomach. The third stomach.
Third stomach.
Yes, it does. It filters the nutrients and it mashes up the food.
Okay.
And that's what it does. All right, so now that it's got it mashed up and it's got the nutrients out, now they want to make sure, so they stick it to the fourth stomach, the final stomach. And there, they pull all the water out, because remember, camels got to conserve every bit of water they have. They take all of the water out of it, all the nutrients out of it, and then it goes into the intestines and goes out of them. And did you know that when they go pee, it's like syrup, because there's hardly any water in it.
Yeah.
And when they poop, they can take that and use it to start fires. It's that dry. That's what's so powerful about it. Another thing about camels is look at their face. All right? Look at the ears. Why are they so hairy? Why would their ears be so hairy?
My guess?
Yes.
Sand. Get the sand out, right?
Exactly. To keep the sand away from their ear. They have 3 eyelids. Why would they have 3 eyelids? They have the upper eyelid, they have the lower eyelid, and also they have a membrane that covers the eye. Why would it be?
Sand.
Sand. Remember, they were engineered to live in the desert.
Yeah.
All right?
That's the same film that Marv was talking about that lions have, that seals have. That's a very crazy evolutionary thing to happen to one animal, let alone multiple animals in the kingdom.
Yes. So all of a sudden, okay, we got that.
Yeah, we got the eyelids. He's got lots of hair everywhere around his ears.
Okay, let's see where we're at now. Let me, oh, and basically the saliva then, when he's chewing up on it, another thing that Jesus Christ thought of was that all of a sudden he's starting to dehydrate. Now, when he's starting to dehydrate, you get less water. What happens to saliva? Because you need the saliva for the enzymes to break down the food. His saliva starts getting thicker. Because he's got less water, it gets thicker, but it's still breaking down the food.
Still the same saliva.
Still the same saliva, still working like that.
It's cool.
It really is.
Doesn't have a lot of need for teeth. Looks like he's only got 6 teeth, guys.
Well, yeah, but the thing of it is, with this, I mean, this is not an animal to fight against. Basically, they have very sharp teeth, and they can whip up on you, and
Like a beak.
they basically can. And if they get around you and they get upset and they're fighting it, they'll throw up on you. All right, so they have different weapons to protect them from other animals. So,
I always heard they spit. Camels spit.
well, it's more of a
Lips.
yes, thank you. It's like that. Now, one of the most important things here is their bloodstream.
Sure.
All right, so why is their blood so important? Well, they're the only mammal on this earth that has oval blood cells. Oval. They have the oval. Humans, all other animals have round. Why would they have oval? They would have oval for the fact of it is they work and they do everything in the desert. Remember, they have this water that they have to take and bring up.
Yeah.
All right. So as they go across the desert, they start getting to the next water hole, and there's no water out there, and they start dehydrating. Now, if we start dehydrating in our round blood cells, our veins and stuff start getting thinner and thinner as we dehydrate. But with us, it might get stuck. But theirs, because they're oval, and they can get thinner and thinner and thinner, and all of a sudden they can slide through it so they can live in the desert. I mean, Jesus Christ thought of everything.
Yeah.
And also, the water, they can drink up to 30 gallons of water in about 13 minutes.
30 gallons of water.
That's about 250
I'm trying to think of drinking 1 gallon of water in 13 minutes.
Yes, they can take that down. And what happens is that whatever the water they need, they take in to the almost the exact same place of what they needed. Say they need 9, not 30 gallons, they need 9. It'll drink 9 gallons and stop. They are engineered perfectly for the desert.
That's cool.
So
It's really cool.
now we're going to get to the real fancy stuff.
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning. So their nose,
There's mine.
fabulous piece of equipment. And what is so nice about it is our nose, we got about 2 square inches of the nasal inside of our nose, okay? So we breathe in and breathe out. Well, he was created with 155 square inches of membranes inside. It's like an onion. You could peel an onion apart again, and he's got this labyrinth of things all the way through it where the air comes through. Now, you're in the desert, it's hot, and with it hot, he breathes in, but this all has moisture in it, always. It always has moisture in his nose. So when it comes through, it's like blowing wet through a fan, and then you've got cool coming in. Now, when it comes in, and then it goes into the lungs, and then he has to breathe out, right? But all of a sudden, he has to breathe out, so he breathes right out the same way. So when he breathes out the same way, the moisture stays back in here. It doesn't leave. So he's conserving more water.
So that's like literally he's bringing in cold air and cooling his entire body down.
He's cooling it down, right. Now,
That's awesome.
it really is. And so he's taking this and he brings it in. And now, this is where it gets a little technical.
Okay. We like technicalities.
So the water, it comes in, the air comes in and it cools down. Now it starts cooling down and the veins, it cools down the veins and the veins go down to the heart, right? And it goes down the heart, so the arteries go back out. So as it goes down there, but all of a sudden it starts getting super hot out. All right, well, if it's super hot out and animals can't handle the heat, they start getting strokes and stuff like that. So what did Jesus Christ create? Well, all of a sudden, the cool that goes down in their system, their nervous system basically, and you have 60,000 miles of veins in your body. All of a sudden, the vein from here that goes down to the heart stops. The clamp, it collapses. So when it collapses, the cool the cool blood goes up near the brain where the arteries are going, and right in the same section that basically they call it the mailer a day or something like that. And all of a sudden, it goes into a circle with the veins and the arteries together so close that the veins cool down the arteries before they go to the brain to keep the brain cooler. So basically, he's got an air conditioning system that cools his brain to make sure that he can still walk. And he doesn't have to, and then once it cools down, that part opens back up and the vein and the cool air goes back down into the heart. It's amazing how he created that to do this.
I'd imagine you didn't mention the moisture, but if you're in the desert, it's fairly dry air.
Yeah.
I'd imagine as much as an air conditioning system that is, it's also a moisturizer. It gets the necessary air and moisture for the lungs, right?
It keeps the moisture in the nostrils, because when you breathe in that dry air, the moisture cools it down, and then you got the moisture, like you said, in the lungs, and then when he breathes out the air, and then the moisture stays back right there.
Right.
It doesn't leave the body that way.
That's
it's
awesome.
Amazing how that creation is. Another part of it is the back of his skull, right up in here in the skull. They've got a part area where it kind of secretes salt water. Like they put the salt with it to keep it up there to keep the brain cool. That's another way that they keep the brain cool on a camel. Everything about a camel is engineered perfectly. Jesus Christ knows exactly what he does when he creates things, and he does it right.
Yeah.
Okay?
No need for redesign.
No need for, thank you. Well put. All right. And then on top of that, he can, that's basically just kind of a run over.
Yeah.
Let me get over here though. Which another thing they can do is, what is it?
You got a fatty hump up top, and you didn't mention anything about the fatty humps over here by his shoulder.
That's muscles.
Okay.
Those are all muscles. That's all muscle. It's all thin. Yeah. Basically, that's not a problem there. The body fat, everything else. And
yeah, they are skinny. Very, very lean. Cool.
That's really good.
That's really cool.
Well, one more thing, basically, that I wanted to say about it is that the camels' temperature can change. Okay, so their temperatures can go from like 94 degrees to 106 degrees during the day. So because it can change like that, they don't start sweating till a lot later. And so that creature is, if it starts getting hotter, the temperature rises inside of them, and it doesn't make a difference.
Doesn't affect them.
It doesn't affect them at all.
That's awesome.
Okay, so what I want to say is basically,
You're safe.